gorilla, nature. Bro, let's go skate. Dude, E equals MC squared. Nerd for life. Hello, hello, hello. How's it going, you guys? Welcome to another episode of Pastor Darius Knows Things. I am your host, Pastor Darius, and I'm excited to be here with you guys today. So without further ado, let's hop straight into the topic. Today we're going to be talking about the tribe of Reuben. The tribe of Reuben. And this is the firstborn. The firstborn. This is Israel's, aka Jacob, his firstborn son. So let's go ahead and hop in. Connection, the Berber, I think it's Amazigh peoples of North Africa. So we're talking like Morocco, all over the northern region of Africa. So that's where the descendants of Israel are. Some of the descendants. We talked last week. We talked about the tribe of Judah. I believe of the tribe of Judah, and how that tribe is directly linked to linked to Ethiopia, which is the royal bloodline. Now, let's continue going, So, we're looking at biblical speaking point, which is from Genesis chapter 49, verse 3 through 4. What we're doing is we're connecting the biblical reading, right? Because keep in mind, the Bible is a historical document of real life things that happened. That's all the Bible is. It's a historical documentation. And I mean, there's so much wisdom that you can learn from history. So let's keep going. Biblical speaking point is number one is from Genesis chapter 49, verse 3 through 4. And it says, Reuben as the beginning of strength, but unstable as water. Now, Reuben, the actual scripture says, this is chapter 3 and 4, or chapter 49, verse 3 and 4. So, Reuben, you are my firstborn, my power and beginning of my strength, the abundance of exaltation and the abundance of strength. Unstable as water, you are not abundant, for you have gone up your father's bed. Then you have defiled it. He went up my couch. And so remember, I'm reading from the Ethiopian Bible. Why? Because this is the literal standard version, which means that there's no interpretation added. A lot of the Bibles that we read from the NIV, a lot of people read from NIV, people read from King James, the New King James. I mean, they have so many different versions of the Bible. All these are is just people's interpretation of what the Bible is saying. You know what I'm saying? So I want to break down this right here, this Genesis chapter 49. I'm going to do a little breakdown of this, of what exactly is being said. So this was all happening while Jacob was talking to his sons and I believe he's on his deathbed at this time, and he's talking to his sons. So let's look at it. Says that because Reuben was the firstborn, right? The firstborn under Jewish heritage is supposed to get a double portion of, the parents' blessing. You know what I'm saying? So he's supposed to get, the biggest portion of all what is left over. If there's sheep, goats, whatever the property that the father owns, it's supposed to go to his eldest son, the double portion, right? And he's supposed to be the leader of the family, right? The abundance of exaltation. And also this would be the role of the priesthood of the family. Now, and let's go to the next portion, which is the character flaw, which is unstable as water, right? This is saying, this is a metaphor, just as water takes the shape of whatever it contains, right? Like it's unstable. You hear what I'm saying? He was unstable. Reuben was unstable. He lacked moral discipline. There are a lot of people out there who just don't have, like, straight up, they're just lacking in morality. And I'm gonna be honest with you, man. Like, I don't know any perfect people, but you have to stand on something. You know what I'm saying? Like, you got to have some type of principles. There has to be a line that you won't cross. You know what I'm saying? As an individual, especially for the young men, right? As a man, you have to stand for something. When you have children as a young man, if you have no principles, you ain't got no, no morality, bro. You know what you been finna be raising? You finna be raising some wild animals. You know what I'm saying? Uncontrollable. You ain't gonna be able to tell them nothing. You gonna tell them stuff. They ain't gonna listen to you. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you don't, you yourself ain't got no morality and no principles, you can't expect your offspring to have morality and principles. So let's go ahead and continue, right? Consequences, right? Because of his instability, right? You are not abundant, you know? Prophecy Reuben tribe would never be the leaders of Israel, right? Reuben's tribe was never the leader of Israel, right? So, and then it talks about the next part, which is I believe is verse 4. It talks about how he defiled his father's bed. Now I'm just going to just give you a little bit of explanation for this, right? So, in Genesis chapter 35, verse 22, right, it talks about how Reuben had sexual relations with one of Jacob, his father's concubines, right? Now, he did this out of complete disrespect. It was known that when a young man wanted to, I guess, like, outdo the father, let the father know that, I'm coming for your position as head of the household, he would sleep with one of his father's concubines. This is like an ultimate slap in the face, like take the glove and bow, smack a man right up in the face, bro. You know what I'm saying? Straight up out of pocket type stuff. You know what I mean? Man, that's crazy. Can you imagine? But yeah, he slept with one of his father's wives, the lady Billa, one of his father's concubines. Wow. And that's the mother of his half brothers, Dan and Naphtali. Crazy. Just out of pocket, man. And then later, let's look at the prophecy for the historical, historically, right? What ended up happening? Long story short, Reuben didn't didn't take all the inheritance, number one, and they were the first ones. The tribe of Reuben was the first ones to go into captivity. You know what I'm saying? Slavery. Like, straight up, bro. Wasn't looking good for them. Wasn't looking good for them. So let's go ahead and get back to our reading. I'm going to move on to next biblical speaking point, which is from Deuteronomy chapter 33, verse 6. So this is all for highly educated people. My readings and all this stuff, I'm not going to lie to you, man. Like this, it'll be hard to grasp a lot of this because I'm speaking from a R&D, like, I've been through multiple bachelor degree programs, getting ready to go to master's and getting ready to go to doctorate. So, I'm a very educated person. And so I learned how to do research and to not just accept things just because, I see. So a lot of people see stuff on the internet nowadays and then they don't go further and try and research and find out, is this true, is there some lies in what is being said. A lot of people just hear stuff, they watch videos, and then they say, oh, this sounds good. They feel that it sounds good, but they don't do the research. Because to do proper research, you need to find three independent sources. This is how news reporters do their actual. You either need the primary source, the individual who was involved in the situation, which is impossible when you're talking about biblical things that were written hundreds of years ago, or thousands of years ago, So you either need a primary source or a secondary source. And if you have a secondary source, what you're looking for, which is like, a documentation by somebody who observed. That's a secondary source, right? You need three independent secondary sources that all co-align with each other, meaning the sources need to not all come from each other. You know what I'm saying? So if you're watching NBC, you're watching Fox, and then you're watching, ABC News, and they're all saying that something happened, right? That's three independent sources. You can believe that what you just heard, it is happening. You know what I'm saying? So you've just been educated. This is how real researchers do research. Everything has to be proven. You can't just be saying stuff without doing the proper research, finding the proper documentation. And that's what I've done here. It's taken a long time, hours and hours, days and days researching this. So let's continue. And so we're moving on to Deuteronomy 33, verse 6. Moses' prayer, let Reuben live and not die. So the actual scripture, again, we're reading from the LSV, Ethiopian Bible. It says, let Reuben live and not die, and let his men be an incalculable number. And this is from Moses. So when Moses was on his deathbed, he was talking to the sons of Israel, and he was giving like a foresight. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is like a foresight. He's giving his blessing. I'm sorry. He was giving his blessing over the children of Israel, his 12 sons. So let's go ahead, continue on to the next biblical speaking point, which is from Joshua chapter 22, verse 1 through 6. This one's going to be a little bit long, so you guys got to stay with me. Reuben's commitment to the brotherhood of the tribes before returning across the Jordan. So it says, then Joshua calls for Reubenite and the Gadite, and for the half tribe of Manasseh. And he says to them, you have kept the whole that which Moses, servant of Yahweh, commanded you, and you listened to my voice, to all that I have commanded you. You have not let your brothers these many days to this day. You have not left your brothers these many days to this day, and have kept the charge, the command of your God Yahweh. And now your God Yahweh has given rest to your brothers as he spoke to them. And now turn and go for yourselves to your tents and to the land of your possession, which Moses, servant of Yahweh, has given to you beyond the Jordan. Only be very watchful to do the command and the law which Moses, servant of Yahweh, commanded you, to love your God Yahweh, and to walk in all his ways, and to keep his commands, and to cleave to him, and to serve him with all your heart and with all your soul. And Joshua blesses them and sends them away, and they go to their tents. Oh man, that was pretty dense theory. Nice. That was Joshua. That was from Joshua 22, chapter 22, verse 1 through 6. That was pretty dense there. So, we see here there is a lot of people blessing these tribes. You know what I'm saying? It started off with, Jacob, then we moved to Moses, and now we're talking about Joshua. You know what I'm saying? Like, a lot of, clearly there is a lot of favor in the kingdom of God over the tribes of Israel. Clearly. Actual tribes of Israel. So let's go ahead to the historical facts. Many Berber tribes in North Africa were documented as practicing Judaism or maintaining Israelite customs prior to the Islamic expansions in the 7th century. Now, this is, when we're talking about Islamic expansion, we're talking Berber tribes. The Berber tribes are, as I said, right, it's in the northern region of Africa, which is directly dealing with, give me a second, it starts with Morocco. Morocco is one of the first ones. Okay, Morocco, Algeria, Libya, Tunisia, and Sahel. Span across that's Mali, Niger, and Burkina Faso. So you got all through those regions, we have the descendants of Reuben, you heard what I'm saying, of the tribe of Reuben. They're all spread through Morocco, Algeria, Libya, Tunisia. Now, it's crazy because we have documentation showing that the tribes there were practicing Judaism. And this is in the 600 to the 700th, 600 to 700 AD. This is after the death of Jesus. So Jesus, or I'm sorry, after the life of Jesus, right? Jesus' birth. So we're talking about 600 years after, and there is documentation that Judaism is being practiced over in in Morocco and the various other countries over there, the Berber tribes. So let's continue, shall we? On to the next, and now we're looking at the primary source, right? The primary source is the history of Berbers. This is from Kitab Ibar. Wait, Kitab al Albar. Kitab al Albar. Something like that. By Ibn Khaldun. That's the name of the person's name. Ibn Khaldun. So Ibn Khaldun's Kitab al-Bar from the 14th century, that's 1400. Everybody who don't know, it's the 1400s. 14th century is 1400s. Is the definitive primary source for Berber history. It is he. In it, he identifies several tribes such as the Jarwa and Nefusa as having practiced Judaism before the Islamic conquest. He attributes this to a mix of proximity to Syrian, Israelites, and local conversions, while modern historians debate his specific genealogies. His record of the Deya Kahina remains the core evidence for a powerful pre-Islamic Jewish Berber presence. His work bridged the gap between oral tradition and documented North African history. So, as we see here, you guys, the documentation is there. This is, I already explained to you guys about the difference between the primary source and the secondary source, right? We have it here, documentation of Ibn Khaldun, right? His documentary is a historical document. It's a primary, a primary source. Individual who was there, seeing it for himself. You know that they had Judaism in Africa. In Africa. You know what I'm saying? So the tribe of Reuben, they've been spread out through Africa, in the countries that were stated before, Morocco, I believe it was Algeria. Let me see here. Yeah, Algeria, Libya, and Tunisia. And then there's Mali, Niger, and Burkina Faso. These are where the tribes were, the Berber tribes. So, you guys, here it is, documentation. We got some historical evidence. What we've done here is we've connected the biblical the biblical history of the Bible, which was, talking about the Reuben and, how they were going to be going into captivity and so forth and so on. Think about the history. Most people don't really know the history of the Bible. You hear what I'm saying? They don't know the history of the Bible. They just read the Bible and then they just accept things as it is. Me, I'm going to be real with you, bro. I don't trust nobody. I think the world is full of liars, and the fact is that the winners of wars are the ones who create history. Listen to what I just said. The winners of war are the ones who create the history. Why? Because when one country goes to war with another country, the dominated country gets consumed or murdered. You know what I'm saying? So I remember Oh man, there was a time, I want to say in German history. I think it was German history. They were burning books or something like that. And what it was is they were trying to eliminate the history of the people who they were trying to eliminate. You hear what I'm saying? Like, that's how it was done. That's how it was practiced. So again, I say the winners of war are the ones who create history. And if we look at the reality of things, right? The reality is that white people, you know what I'm saying? Like, white people have been known for their ferocity, bro. Think back the history of the Caucasian race. You know what I'm saying? They've been murdering and killing and plundering since they had the Scandinavians over there, bro. What were they? Who were the Scandinavians, man? Bro, they were the ones who were going around. They were killing and murdering each other. You know what I'm saying? And then once they got established enough, with the killing and murdering of each other, right? The Vikings. There you go. The Vikings. They just killing, murdering, plundering. You know what I'm saying? And it's crazy because the white people, like, bro, they be trying to hide their history, bro, of all the murder and killing that they did. Like, they be trying to hide the history of it. How, in World War One, there was like over 1 million people that died. You know what I'm saying? Like, they be trying. People don't know that, bro. They'll be knowing, man. World War II, you know what I'm saying? You got Napoleon and all them people up over there, bro. You know what I'm saying? They sending young men to their deaths. Like, real talk, bro. Straight demonic stuff, bruh. I mean, like, millions. How you gonna send millions of young men, bruh? Young men, 18, 19, 20 year olds. Give them some guns and send them to it, bro. We finna conquer. It's conquer or that's it. We gonna conquer no matter what. So the generals would stay back and send out the young men to die. And whoever's young men fought the hardest, those were the ones who determined what the history was when the history was won. So now we look at how history has been defined. It's defined by the history is taught different depending on where you're from. You know what I'm saying? Like, in the United States, we got one type of history. You know what I mean? We got our own world history up over there. You know what I'm saying? And then if like over I'm sure in the UK, in Britain, they got a whole nother type of history up over there of how things were done and how things happened. Like, and then you bounce around the world. You got all these different forms of history. Again, I tell you, the winners of war are the ones who determine the history. So there's somebody who's backing the people over there in Israel and saying that they are the true Israelites. And in reality, right, what tribe are they from is the question. The people over there right now, which tribe of Israel are they from? I go and ask any Jewish people. I've done it before. I was like, hey, bro, which tribe of Israel do you come from? You know what I'm saying? And the dude couldn't even answer the question. Like, you know what I'm saying? But, I know directly, right? It is a fact that Haile Selassie over from Ethiopia, right? That was like their king over in Ethiopia, is a descendant under King Solomon. King Solomon is a descendant under David, right? So come on, bro. Come on, bro. Like, what is happening here? How are we not just going to accept the reality? How are we not going to listen to the facts? We're just going to listen to what somebody else tell us is happening, and we're not even going to do the research on our own. Bruh, you better start researching stuff and just stop believing everything that you see, bro. I don't believe nothing no more, bruh. They got AI out here, bruh. You know what I'm saying? AI videos, AI. Everything is dang near AI generated or created in this current day and time. All the videos you watching, people watching videos thinking that their favorite artists said something that they never even said, doing things that they've never done. Bruh, they now, a lot of the social medias are even going so far as making people declare when they upload videos that the video that they're generating is AI. Why? Because a lot of stuff is misleading. Wars, terrible things can happen. You know what I'm saying? With videos that are misleading. They could have somebody could create a video of somebody going out and committing some type of heinous crime, and then we find out later on that that person didn't even commit the crime. It was just an AI generated video. So now when you go and you upload videos to YouTube, they ask you that. And you know, a lot of people don't even pay attention to the contracts that they're reading nowadays. When it's sad, man. People are so ignorant, bro. Like straight up, bro. They don't even pay. Like half the people who sign up for these accounts, TikTok, YouTube, Instagram, right? What you don't know is that you can be held liable financially, right, for creating hysteria. Financially, you could be liable, you know what I'm saying, punished by law for creating which a lot of people are doing, bro. They're trying to put fear into the world, fear mongers and stuff like that, bro. They got a lot of these social media people. Be cautious, take everything with a grain of salt. Do your research, people. Get educated, go to school. Don't be ignorant. Don't let people fool you. You know what I'm saying? Don't be a fool for anybody. Anyway, you guys, it's your boy Pastor Darius. I want to thank you guys for watching this. Thank you for watching another episode of Pastor Darius Knows Things. I look forward to seeing you guys on the next one. Peace. Stay up.